Talk about people coming back. I mean, because last year you had a bunch of guys came back for a 5th year. I know it's Miguel Valdez is for his 6th year. Do you have some more of those, or is that kind of through the COVID thing?
There's not a whole lot of those guys they're actually taking a 6th year, because what Miguel has done is he took a 5th year for COVID, but he also had a medical red shirt, so that gave him a 6th year and a master's degree at the end of this deal. And I think Jamie and Shaw is one of the other ones that's got a 6th year. So guys coming back. Offensively, there's not going to be a ton of what you would call returning starters, but we do have a lot of guys that have played. You'll see, obviously, Galen will be back. Had a great junior year. We're expecting big things out of him. Miguel has been playing for a long time. He'll be back, and most of those running backs will be back, and we feel like we've got a really good crew with them. Defensively, we've got a lot of returning experience. We'll have probably 3 deep in the defensive line that have played in games and played well. Linebackers, you'll see, a couple of new faces with Terrell Franklin and Cameron Hanna graduating. Secondary will be pretty much the same. You'll see a lot of familiar faces there. So then specialist Grayson Bearden will be back. Excited about him as a sophomore. And then Cody Harrell decided to come back and take that 5th year. So we're really glad that we got Cody back as a punter as well. Was
there any surprises of good or bad, people not coming back, or people that you weren't expecting showing up?
Luckily, no. I mean, that's the good thing. I mean, there's a couple that we thought could possibly be able to come back, but because of graduating or whatever those reasons were, a couple of those guys decided to do something else. But the majority of guys we were dependent on, they're going to be here.
Talk about the schedule. Such a different schedule this year.
I thought that there was some really difficult things in coaching until I've gone through this scheduling cycle. This has been one of the hardest things we've done. We contacted over 200 Division III schools and over 100 NAIA schools trying to find games, and it didn't just take my work, but it took our administration trusting what we were trying to do and the games we were trying to get, and being able to help us there. So I'm really thankful for that support. But we've got Albright coming here week 1. Is a program on the rise. They've got a 2nd-year head coach, and he's trying to do things the right way. Obviously, week 2 go to La Crosse, which is going to be a tough one. We know they're a perennial playoff team year in and year out. Then get to go up to Boston and the Boston area and play Endicott, who was 10-0 last year in a playoff team. So we're excited about that. So we went from having nothing to having a pretty dang good non-conference schedule, and then after that Endicott trip, come back and be able to kick off conference. So it's going to be tough, but I'm excited about the opportunity.
The Endicott and La Crosse kind of set the stage for your attention nationally?
I think so. I mean, I think somebody told me that some of the experts ranked the non-conference games, and I think our game versus La Crosse was like number 2 or number 3, and so people across the nation are going to see that. And then once we added Endicott, I think that strength of schedule is going to be the highest we've ever had going into this deal. So I couldn't be more pleased with it. I know our guys are excited about it, and just one day closer to getting to go tee it up.
I know you're looking to just get started now, but what about next year as far as schedule? Do you have any inkling what's going to happen?
We have one non-conference game. So we have Endicott, that'll be a home and home, so they'll come here next year. And then other than that, I haven't even started working on it yet.
And right now it's 4 teams in the conference, right?
That's it. Yeah. So it'll be interesting moving forward.
Was that alignment would that be above your pay grade as how they start getting 2 conferences, getting a group together, kind of like what ACU has done with the WAC and the ASUN?
It is above my pay grade, but my opinion is definitely known. I mean, I think that that's the great thing about our administration is they're willing to listen to the people that are in the trenches and in the fight every day and say, hey, what do you think we really need to do? And so we've definitely been able to give our opinions and try to help find solutions. I mean, that's what it's all about. Is everybody knows the problem, let's find solutions. And I think we're all moving towards that goal, and I think we'll be able to get it done.
Cal and Stanford are open next year. So.
Yeah, I saw a meme the other day that had the ASC and the Pac-12, what was left, shaking hands to get something going. So who knows?
Okay, that's all I got.
Wide receiver. You lost a lot of production. I think 77 or 44 touchdowns and 7,000 yards receiving or something like that.
Yeah, it'll be the receiving core will have a different look. We just had guys that was kind of the perfect storm. Guys that were super seniors that came back and took their COVID year, or regular seniors, and I think our leading receiver coming back has like 8 catches or something. So the good thing is we've got plenty of talent there, and I think a lot of those guys would have played last year if we wouldn't have had those super seniors coming back, and they would have been really good players. So it's going to be very interesting to see how it shakes out. But we got guys that can go and can make plays. We'll just have to see how it all fits together.
You talked a little bit about the offensive line, Miguel coming back to lead that group, but this time last year you were super excited about that freshman group that came in, and now they're all going. A bunch of them are going to be playing as sophomores.
Yeah, the O line's going to be. It's going to be an interesting group, because I think people are looking and saying, well, you lost this many guys, but the ones that are stepping into that, they're going to be able to carry that mantle, and I'm really excited about it. That freshman group that came in, I don't think a lot of them were planning on playing much, and then you look up and later on in the season, Hayden Philpott's taking a bunch of snaps at center because of injuries and things like that, and he grew up in a hurry. And then you got guys, Bodie Walters and Garrett Tittle and Blake Gillespie. Those guys had an awesome spring, and they got good experience last year, and I think they're going to be able to step in and be pushing for those starting positions, and if nothing else, they'll be able to definitely provide us some depth. So I'm excited about that group.
One other question about the receivers. KJ and Jazeer are both little guys. Do you have any big receivers?
We do. We got some guys with some size. Gotti Pyatt was a freshman last year from Sinton that came in. I don't know how tall he is, but he's a big, pretty frame. I mean, he definitely got some range. And then we got a transfer in from Lamar named Dozie Ifeadi, and he's a big frame too. So there's some guys that didn't necessarily play last year, but they'll be able to give us some size on the outside for sure.
Talk a little bit about Noah, just what he brings.
Man, we're hoping we can see what he's capable of staying healthy. Because whenever he was healthy, he's electric. I mean, I don't know what did he play in 3 games last year and had 13 touchdowns or whatever it was. I mean, I don't know what the exact stats were, but he's just a dynamic player. He can whenever he gets the ball in his hands, he can take it the distance, and I think we saw that in spurts last year. And he was still literally just learning the offense. Didn't really have a clue exactly what he was doing or how it all fit together throughout the spring. He definitely figured it out. Had a great summer. I mean, he's in phenomenal shape now. I think he'd tell you even last year he wasn't in very good shape coming in, and he's in shape now. So I couldn't be more excited to get him out there and create ways to get him the ball. Whether that's handing it to him or throwing it to him or snapping it to him, we're gonna create some opportunities for him.
And what you don't have experience on at wide receiver, you do at running back, because you also got Colton had 13 touchdowns or whatever rushing, and Miles led the team in rushing. So
yeah, that's the thing is you look up and we have 3 all-conference running backs that legit are all-conference guys. It's not like we're just throwing that out there. I mean, they Colton and Miles, they were literally named all-conference, and obviously would know without the injuries would have been as well. So really excited about those. And then there's a couple of guys that are stepping in behind them that have some ability. Ernest Davila, I mean, he's going to be a really good one that people are going to really enjoy watching. Jared Brazil, those guys got a lot of ability. And so, early on while we're figuring out, how exactly the receiver core is going to look, those guys are going to get plenty of opportunities, and they're up for that challenge.
Devo went undefeated last year, and a lot of those guys were.
Yeah,
that.
That was a fun group because they early on it didn't look very good the first couple of times they took the field, and they just found ways to win and continue to get better. And a lot of those guys were able to step into roles on Saturday throughout the season and be able to contribute, whether that was on special teams or defense or offense, and they got valuable experience, and we're really going to be relying heavily on some of those guys.
We talked a lot about offense on the other side of the ball. You got that defensive line, like you said, 10 or 12. And they're all kind of similar players. I mean, they all like to get after the quarterback and plug holes. And
yeah, that D line is they're going to be a huge strength for this team, if not the strength, because they can cause so many issues for you. I mean, trying to block those guys is going to be a nightmare for some people. And they can do it with so many different guys. It's not like there's just 3 or 4 dudes that can play. I mean, they're going to be able to just roll in there, and you're like, man, they're just bringing in another defensive end that can go rush the passer. They're bringing in another guy in the middle that we can't move in the run game. And so I think everything is going to stem off those guys. I think that they're going to be able to do a really good job of controlling the line of scrimmage and making it really difficult for offenses to move the ball consistently.
Then linebacker, obviously Matt in the middle, but you got a bunch of guys who played there too.
Yeah, no, that's the thing with linebackers. I think that you're going to see some different faces, but I think you're going to see some similar production. You're going to see some guys that can really fly around and make plays. I mean, Cade Mickness played a lot of football for us. He's got an opportunity to be a great one, in my opinion. And then Jacoby Haverly, who kind of has stepped into that will position, is still obviously up for grabs, but he had a great spring, and he brings a lot to the table as well. So I think you're going to see those guys, and then the couple that you don't even know about, that whenever you see them be able to step on the field, they're going to be able to really play.
What's the number one concern that you said this is an area that really needs to take the step you want to take when it has to come through?
I think it's just because of experience, it'd have to be receiver, just because those guys haven't started and played in a ton of snaps. The ones that have, we know they can produce, but that as a whole, that group knows that they gotta be able to step into that role and not only just be a guy that's out there, but be a guy that's a difference maker and can make plays for us. And they're excited about that opportunity. They're like, nobody knows who we are, but they're going to know once we get rolling. So
Secondary, Brock in the corner. He's only his 4th year as a starter, and Devontae, I think he's switching safety spots, but he's been back there the whole time too. So it's good to have those 2 leaders back there leading that group.
absolutely. I mean, both of those guys are just steady players. Brock and Devontae. I mean, they got a ton of ability, obviously. But I think they're going to be the guys that can stabilize those other ones. We'll have guys stepping in. Jay Black, who's played and started games for us, will be. He's absolutely changed his body. He looks like $1 million. So I'm excited to see him get the opportunity out there. And then Justin Bingham, who we know has got a ton of ability. If he gets it channeled in the right direction, he'll be a stud safety as well. So. And then there's going to be a few guys there too that you'll say, hey, where did that guy come from? And we know that some of these freshmen are going to have an opportunity, and we believe that they'll be able to step in as well.
How many newcomers did you bring in?
About 90. So yeah, it's a big crew. It just kind of worked out that way. We didn't have a set number, but when you can find good players, you're going to take them and try to get them plugged
Is that
in.
transfers and freshmen?
Right. Yep.
Good.
Good.